Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about the comfort zone and how it's holding you back from all the things you want to manifest. Now let's get started. Now first, let's get a definition of what the comfort zone is. Now, no doubt all of you are familiar with this concept to some degree, but fear keeps us in a certain bubble or a certain zone. It's like when you want to go ask that person out. Why haven't you asked them out? Why didn't you go over there and ask them out? Because you're afraid. What are you afraid of? Well, that's going to be unique to you. You're going to have to do some introspection and find out what it is that you're afraid of. But you see this direct example, by not asking the person out, you are holding your own self back from experiencing love, from experiencing a relationship. You know, if you're kind of playing the field from having that sexual experience, that adventure that you're looking for, all because of the fear inside of yourself that's preventing you from reaching outside of the zone to go after what you want. Now, oftentimes, these things will come from childhood. We experience certain patterns and dynamics in childhood, and a lot of times those dynamics are traumatic. And what happens is we repeat those familiar patterns as adults. So maybe if we didn't experience love, or if we felt like we were emotionally abandoned or even physically abandoned, those fears begin to stack up on the other side of us trying to reach out to something that's not vibing with the pattern that we're carrying inside. You know, maybe there's a belief that we're unworthy or we're unlovable, right? Well, if we believe that, then it doesn't make sense for us to go out and ask somebody out because we believe that we're unworthy or unlovable. So why would this person say yes? And it just goes to stack against the evidence, fear, false evidence appearing real. It goes into the bucket of false evidence that says, well, if we're not worthy and we're unlovable, then I wouldn't be the kind of person that would ask somebody out because they would just say no. What do I have to bring to the table for this person? Now, what's interesting is our body has its own intelligence. Okay, so we have the mind, the human brain has an intelligence. The body has an intelligence. The body is a more primitive intelligence that records what happens to us throughout our lives. So as we're children, for example, we pick up a lot of trauma. We absorb like sponges the environment and the energy around us. And that helps to calibrate our comfort zone. That helps to calibrate our belief system. And the comfort zone and the belief system is what dictates what we feel afraid to do or what feels natural for us to do. You know, for most of us, unless this is one of the things for you, but I would say for most people, you've got no problem breathing. You've got no problem eating food. Now you may use food for comfort, or the flip side, you may not be eating enough, that kind of stuff. But what I mean is that's something you kind of automatically do. You go to the bathroom, you go outside for most of us, you go to work or you go to school. So here's things where we agree that there's the pattern within us that says this is an okay thing to do, But for some reason, when it comes to things like asking that person out, when it comes to asking for the promotion at work, when it comes to quitting your job and going and getting a better job somewhere else, now we're pushing up against this boundary, and it's actually our own body's intelligence that's sabotaging us, and as well as our mind. The ego can also be self-sabotaging in this way. Now, why? Why would our own mind sabotage us like this? Because the ego's job is to keep us safe as far as life and death. But beyond that, the next level of its safe is familiar. The ego likes familiar. The body's intelligence likes familiar. Why? Because it knows it, it understands it, and it invites in what it is used to. So for example, if in childhood you witness dynamics where, say, one of your parents cheated on the other one, well, you may notice that in your own life, unless you've done any work on yourself, you continue to attract relationships where you get cheated on. Or maybe you're the cheater and you just don't understand how you end up in that situation. You're like, I don't want to do this. But next thing I know, boom, I'm doing it again and I don't understand. Because you're playing out those patterns. Your body's intelligence, your ego, is replaying the recordings that you picked up as childhood. Childhood does a number on us, for better or for worse. We will absorb everything. And more often than not, that's why you become like your parents, whether it's like your father or your mother or some other prominent member of the family, grandmother, uncle, or aunt or something, is because as children, we just absorb, we soak it up. And if we never go inside to look at that and examine those beliefs and examine the walls of that comfort zone, we can wind up playing small our whole life, never asking the person out. And the next thing you know, 30 years goes by and you just kind of fell into these relationships that came in and out, but you never went and asked out the people you really wanted to go out with. You never really went out there to get the job of your dreams or even start your own business because there was that fear, there was that wall, that comfort zone wall that was built. So now, inevitably, the next question you have is, well, okay, if I agree there's a comfort zone, how do I break out of it? How do I begin to expand myself out, into these new areas? Well, I'm glad you asked. So, first, you have to become aware of the zone, aware of your zone. Everyone's comfort zone is going to be different. For some people, jumping out of an airplane is well within their comfort zone. I would say for most of us, that's not in the comfort zone. Not for me anyway. I'm not jumping out of a plane anytime soon. And again, there may be a belief there, the belief that I don't want to splat on the ground, but also a belief. I know for me, one of my comfort zone beliefs is that I'm afraid of heights, So in my work, however, I do IT work, I have to be on ladders a lot of times running cable and doing stuff like that. So I have to confront that fear every time I do that. But we have to become aware of the zone. Now, how do you become aware of the zone? Well, quite simply, what are the things that you want in your life that you're afraid to do and go after? Doesn't matter. We don't need to understand the reasoning yet. We just need to go, where do you want to go in your life? But where in those places is fear holding you back? That's your comfort zone. Those are the barriers. Anything that you desire, that you're reaching for, that for whatever reason you find yourself just not committing to going after it, is your comfort zone. You found the barrier, you found the fear. Asking somebody out, that's one of the most common ones for all of us. Heights is another one, not that that's specifically holding you back, but it's an area you can practice with. Now, we have to also understand that in our lives, the majority of the benefits and the treasures lie outside of this zone. Again, the things we have not yet manifested, the things we have not yet allowed ourselves to go towards are outside of this bubble. And it's the fear that makes the bubble. But the good news is our fears are simply beliefs. They are all the way down to the belief system. And as we've learned from previous videos, beliefs can be changed. We are not static. You always hear the old adage, oh, people never change. That's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's bullshit. People change every day. Every day you're a different person than you were the day before. It might not look like much. There might not be much difference between the day before and today, but you choose every day who you are. You have the capability to play it a different way today than you did yesterday. Now, there are many people who, given the choice to change, decide to just be the same every day or even get worse in their habits and tendencies. But even then, you can't say they're the same because they're choosing to be worse, right? A little tongue-in-cheek there. But people that say people never change, that's bullshit. And I'm sorry, if you disagree, put a comment below and tell me why I'm wrong. But I will tell you, we all change all the time. Constantly are changing. And that's a great thing. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Things always change. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only changes. So that's great news for us, though, because we can change these beliefs. We can address these childhood wounds and childhood trauma, and we can work with our body's intelligence to make it feel safer about reaching out, to work with it. So we have to begin by, once we find these walls, we have to examine those fears. Is this a rational fear? I'll give you an example. Starting a business, quitting my job today with no money in the bank and going to start a business selling painted eggs. That fear is relatively rational to not just go do that, right? How am I going to pay the bills? I don't have a business plan. There's a lot of things I haven't figured out to start my painted egg business and just quit my job today. So that's a fear that's reasonable. That's not the kind of fear we need to overcome. That fear is quite literally keeping us safe. That fear is like, hey man, you might want to save up some money for a year. You might want to get a business plan, maybe start painting eggs after business hours and see how that goes selling them out of your house. You don't have to just quit your job and do that. That's a rational, reasonable fear. Jumping out of a plane is scary. That's a rational, reasonable fear. And that's an okay fear. But not asking that person out. Oh, what if she says no and I'm not lovable and oh my goodness, I'm so nervous, I don't even know what I would say. And there's a fear that we can work with. That's a fear that stems from a belief and is more of an emotional fear. Nothing bad is going to happen to you if you ask someone out. Now, Yes, could it be embarrassing? You know, could this person be like, you know, if you're in high school or for example, like, oh my God, I can't believe you would ask me out. Like, did you hear this? Jameson just asked me out. Like, could you believe that? Like, I would ever date him. Haha, you know. Yeah, that can happen and that's going to suck and you're not going to enjoy that experience. But no one's cutting your arm off, you know? No one's sending you to the hospital. It's just, you know, an emotional kind of wounding that you may experience in that. But I'll tell you, if you keep asking the people out, it gets easier and easier and easier. With all of these fears, as we begin to examine and identify them, the way to move out of the comfort zone is to start slowly pushing outside the zone. How do we push outside the zone? We feel the fear and we do it anyway. Now that may seem obvious. Well, of course, if I do, you know, but why haven't you done it yet? Why haven't you asked that person out? Why haven't you applied for that promotion? Right? Why haven't you jumped out of the plane even though you really want to do skydiving, but you're afraid? Because the fear is strong. The body's intelligence has been keeping us safe as biological entities for, you know, at least 1 billion years. This is a very primitive central nervous system that's present in all sorts of animals, all the way down to worms, quite literally, worm brains. So it's been keeping us safe for all these years. Its influence on us is very strong. But the way to get out of the comfort zone is to push outside the zone. You know, back to my example with my work when I'm on the ladder. The only way that I got better with heights was with just repetitive practice. I just kept getting on the ladder and I kept doing the work I needed to do. And even to this day, when I get on a ladder, I mean, sometimes I two-step it where I put my one foot on one rung and then my other foot on the same rung. Instead of going rung by rung like this, you know, I do one and then another, and then I tippy-toe my way up the ladder, you know, and I'm holding on to the ladder. But once I get on it, I breathe. I remember I've got a job to do. I've got to get this cable installed or get this camera mounted or put this TV mount in the ceiling. Then I start to do my work. You know, I'm up and I'm grabbing cable and I'm pulling it over, you know, and I'm got my drill and I'm doing my stuff. I'm still scared of being on a ladder. I'm still scared of heights. But because I've kept continuing to push myself in that direction for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years of getting on ladders, it's easier. I don't fear it anymore. I just get up and I do it. And the sensation of resistance has just gotten so small. It's still there and I'm aware of it, but it's not nearly the tiger it was made out to be. It's the paper tiger. It's not real. It can't hurt me, you know? So in the same way, if you're going to go ask that girl out or ask that guy out or whoever, you just got to keep doing it. With more practice, it becomes easier. It really does. It truly does. The only way to get out of the comfort zone is to push yourself out of it. And then you need to feel it. As you're pushing through the resistance, as you're starting to push outside of that comfort zone, become aware of what begins to bubble up. Because the further you get, closer you get to the wall, it's going to start ramping up. And once you push past the wall, it's really going to ramp up. That fear, that resistance, that, you know, that central nervous system is really going to be trying to pull you back in, and it's going to then manifest thoughts and emotions in your mind of I'm scared and what if they say no, and some of these thoughts and things may be related to what you're trying to do. But we have to feel it. We have to feel it to heal it. By pushing out of the zone, you gives yourself the opportunity to become aware of what that belief is. What is that belief? What is the core of why this is scary for me? What is the core of why I feel like I don't deserve to be out here? Or why I feel like I should stay safe in here? As you push out, that energy comes up, and that's perfect because we have to become aware. We have to feel it to heal it. We have to see it to work with it. Well, now as we're pushing out, then we push out, we go ask the person out, you know, and the person says no, or they say yes. You know, that's a whole nother host of problems. Now it's like, well, now what do I do? You know, what if they say yes? You're really more afraid of what happens if they say yes than if they say no, by the way. That's the real mindfuck of the whole thing. You know, sorry for the language, but you know, you're more afraid of what if they say yes? What if this business takes off? What's really ironic in the whole thing is I think there's more of fear of a success than a failure in a lot of ways. You know, fear of failure is the perfectionism of it, but the fear of success is an even greater fear, I think, that a lot of us don't realize we have. But as you begin to work with this stuff, so go ask the person out. They say no, they say yes, whatever. They say yes, oh, it's great. Now what? I don't know. I've never been on a first date. What do I do? You know, another fear, another layer of the bubble. Has your bubbles expanded? Now it's, what do I do on the first date? You know, oh, now what do I do? You know, what do I do in the bedroom? Oh no, you know, you'll figure all that stuff out, trust me. But now, once we go through the scariness, we can reflect on it and be aware of it while we're in it. But once we're done and we've come back inside our little bubble and it's, whew, I'm never doing that again, you know, that's when it's time to reflect. That's when it's time to go inside and be aware of yourself and go, where did those feelings come from? First of all, what are the feelings I felt? You're going to feel a whole lot of energy. Examine it. What are the labels that are on this energy? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Okay. Where does that come from? Where inside of myself is there a belief behind it? There's a belief behind everything. Where's that belief? Then that lets you bring the belief up for your viewing. Now you can become aware of the belief. And a lot of times, even just becoming aware and feeling into the feelings and the beliefs will take a lot of their sting out, because now they're no longer these boogeymen in the corner in the shadows. We've brought them into the light, and they're not nearly as big and scary as we thought they were. And we have to just keep working with it and working with it and working with it. You know, I go through this in my life all the time, and what's neat is I like to do things on purpose to step out of my comfort zone sometimes. Like for me, I don't like to draw attention to myself. And there's beliefs there, there's childhood dynamics there for how I was raised, and you know, kids should be not, you know, seen but not heard, and all that nonsense going on. And the fear that if I stand out, you know, people will reject me, you know, or the fear that if I stand out, I don't want to take light away from others. And it's like always playing in the background, always making everybody else feel safe and secure and happy, and not outshining other people. And because I'm an empath too, you know, I don't want to make them feel bad because I feel it. There's a whole bunch of mindfuck shit going on there. But one of my things is I don't like to draw attention to myself. Well, I recently, and you know, in working with manifestation magic, I have these great money pants that I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. Let me pull this camera down so you can see it. So I have these awesome, what I call the magic money pants. See if I can get you guys to see them. See? The magic money pants. I'm going to put my camera back on the little tripod here. And see if you can see them a little better. You know, the magic money pants. So it's these pants that have money all over them, because again, I'm working on manifesting wealth. And to me, so I'm getting myself more comfortable with the energy of money. I even got a shower curtain that has the same pattern. It's really cool, right? So you walk into the bathroom and you see that, you know, it's the $100 bills everywhere. And for me, as a side note, that's me working with the manifesting of abundance. It's to make it to where money is so natural and easy for me to have that it's literally on my pants. It's on my shower curtain. And it's taken the stigma away. You know, money, if I have any kind of beliefs that money's bad, then having the shower curtain and the pants is going to be problematic for me, because then I'm being reminded of it. So it's helping to remind me every day to work with whatever energy and dynamics I have in regards to money, and to make it just so natural that it's here all the time. And what's funny is, like, my mom, for example, she's also on the spiritual journey, and she's... When I bought the money pants and the money shower curtain, and you know, I showed her the pants and she loved the pants because she's also working on manifesting, you know, now all of a sudden she's seeing the money everywhere in her reality. So it's like she'll watch YouTube and someone's, you know, tarot readers have the money spread out, you know, or she'll be just hearing it and seeing it everywhere. It's bleeding into her reality just tangentially from being with me. But back to the comfort zone. So I'm also doing a thing where I want to go walking every day too. So the first day I had the pants on, you know, I love these pants and they're great. I went to go walk out the door to go for a walk. And immediately I bumped up against the comfort zone. And I was feeling, I'm like, what? I was feeling embarrassed. I was feeling ashamed. I was feeling fear of leaving the house wearing these pants. As silly as that might sound for some people, and other people are right there with me right now being like, oh, I can't leave, you know, I don't want to leave the house looking ridiculous, you know, or something that's going to draw all this attention to myself. And who am I to make light of this money? You know, what if there's people out there struggling with money on the street, and you know, they see me wearing these pants as like a joke, and it's insulting to them, and this is what's going through my mind, you know what I mean, that I am being inconsiderate and rude to people that have real money trouble by wearing these pants. And also that I don't want to draw the attention to myself. Who am I to draw all this attention? You know, I always play small, I play in the background. But you see how something as stupid as wearing these pants and leaving the house brought up all of this stuff for me to work with. And I pushed myself out of that zone. The second I realized that I had all this going on, I took some time to reflect and to meditate through it, you know, 5 or 10 minutes. And then I said, I'm going to leave the house. I'm going to walk out of this house and I'm going to go do my walk around the little track, and then I'm going to come back home. And that's what I did. And sure enough, as soon as I walk out the door, right, I live in a small town. I go out of my house and I make a right to go down towards the park, you know. Well, I look out of my house, I look to the left, and sure enough, there's a person walking down the street. So I'm walking towards the park with this person behind me the whole way with the money pants, having my whole mental freak out moment of like, yeah, you know, this person's seeing me and oh, I'm drawing attention to myself and oh, you know, and I'm feeling and I'm going through all this, because I'm out of that zone right now. And the central nervous system is like, dude, this is not a cool scene, man. You don't need to be doing that. Well, the more and more I do this, the more I'm practicing and training myself. You know, I went to the store the other day, the grocery store, wearing the pants. That was a whole nother new level. Because walking around the park is great. I might come across one or two people. But going to the store where there's like hundreds of people in there and I'm walking around in these pants, you know, and it's my comfort zone, my ego and my central nervous system are just screaming at me that, dude, like, what are you doing? You look ridiculous and you're drawing attention and you're being inconsiderate to people that have money troubles because you're making it a joke and this and that and the other thing. And, you know, but I did it anyway. I did it anyway. And now I'm at a point where I understand I don't have to do this as much because if I keep doing it, then I'm attached to it on the other side of it. But now it's just, you know, if I happen to pick these pants today and then I go outside or I go to the store or something, I just don't think about it as much. Same with the ladder. It's getting more and more easy for me to do this. And that was, you know, my story on that about getting out of that comfort zone. You've got to push out of the zone, feel the resistance, and more importantly, go easy on yourself. Go easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You know, you go to walk up to ask that girl out, and as you get closer and closer and closer and closer, you chicken out and you turn around and you walk away. And you're like, oh man, that was so scary. That's totally fine, man. You know what? You started pushing. You pushed out of that zone for a little bit and it got a little hot, so you came back. The key is to reflect on that moment when you're back within yourself. Do the meditation. See what comes up. You can ask your body, central nervous system, what's going on? Can you please bring to light what's going on with the situation? I'm ready to ask this person out. I'm ready to ask a person out. I'm ready to get into a relationship. I want this to be my new normal, body. I want this to be normal. We are safe. You know, reaffirming to yourself that you are safe, because many times these dynamics come from not feeling safe. So the central nervous system doesn't feel safe. So go easy on yourself. When you go to ask the person out, come back, you know. Take a deep breath. Relax the body. Take a look around. There's no lions and tigers here. There's no snakes out here. There's no danger. I'm safe. 99% of the time in our lives, we're safe. Once we become adults, we have agency. We're safe. I'm safe. And then dive into what are we feeling, body? What's going on? And there you have it, folks. This is how we can find the benefits and the treasure that are outside of the zone. Remember, with all things, awareness and feeling is what we need to do. We have to be aware and feel it to heal it. I hope you guys make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.